The sky of the Lawn 4 burned with violet lightning as the human warship Resolute Dawn crashed through the upper atmosphere. Sergeant Elias Cale, a battle-scarred field medic of the Terran Marines, clutched the side rail as explosions tore through the hull. The war was supposed to be over. The peace treaty with the Valari Empire, a race of biosynthetic aliens, had been signed just days ago. But the peace had come too late for the Lawn 4. Its surface was already a graveyard. The Resolute Dawn was evacuating survivors, human and alien alike, when it was hit by an orbital strike. The ship spiraled down, scattering debris and bodies across the battlefield. Elias was one of the few who survived the impact. He woke in a crater of molten glass and burning metal. His armor's HUD blinked erratically, detecting oxygen leaks and microfractures in his ribs. Around him lay corpses of both species, Terran and Valari, twisted in death. Through the haze, he heard something, a faint pulse, a voice not quite human. He followed it through the wreckage, limping past blackened trees and shattered machines, until he saw her. A tall figure lay slumped against a crystalline spire, her golden armor cracked and leaking radiant blue blood. Her long, silver hair shimmered faintly even through the smoke. Her breathing was shallow, almost imperceptible. Her eyes, luminous and slit-pupilled, flickered weakly open. "Human," she whispered. "Leave, this is not your world." Elias dropped to one knee beside her, scanning her vitals. His med kit chirped warnings. "Critical condition." "You're dying," he said softly. "And I don't care whose world this is." When he peeled back her armor, he saw a gaping wound near her side. One no Valari could survive. Not without help. Her voice trembled. "My regeneration is gone. Energy drained. Without my people's serum, I cannot." "Blood," Elias said suddenly. He'd studied alien biochemistry. The Valari used a crystalline lattice in their veins, one that could bind to compatible proteins under extreme stress. In theory, it could accept alien blood. Even human. He knew what it would cost. He drew his combat knife and slashed his wrist. "You're not dying here," he muttered. The Queen's golden eyes widened as his blood dripped into her wound. Her body convulsed, energy flaring around them like a living storm. Her breathing deepened. The shattered crystals embedded in her skin glowed again, knitting together as her body absorbed his essence. For a moment, Elias saw her entire life flash through his mind. Temples of silver glass, a throne of living light, and the face of a queen who ruled not through fear, but with wisdom. Then everything went black. The Queen's awakening. When Elias awoke, he wasn't on the battlefield anymore. He lay on a bed of woven silk, inside a chamber that pulsed like a living heart. The air smelled of ozone and strange flowers. He tried to move, and immediately felt the pull of dozens of thin, luminous filaments attached to his body. He wasn't restrained. They were connected, feeding him life, energy, and something deeper. Then he heard her voice. "You should not have survived, human." Elias turned his head. The alien queen stood by the bioluminescent wall, dressed in ceremonial armor that shimmered with veins of gold and violet. Her gaze was sharp but not cruel. "You saved me," she said quietly. "You gave me your blood." Elias swallowed. "I wasn't going to let someone die if I could stop it." She tilted her head, studying him. "Your blood merged with mine. That is not something that should be possible." "I've been told I'm stubborn," he said with a weak grin. Her lips twitched, the closest thing to a smile he'd seen. "I am Queen Serethis of Valor Prime," she said, straightening her posture. "And you, Sergeant Elias Cale, have done something no one in the universe has ever done. You have made the Valari throne acknowledge a human. The throne. Sarathis gestured, and part of the wall unfolded into a swirling mass of energy, a living crown of light suspended in air. The throne is a sentient relic, bound by bloodlines. It grants power and memory to those of royal descent. But when my blood mingled with yours, she hesitated. The throne responded. It accepted you. Elias frowned. Meaning what? Meaning, she said softly, walking closer until he could feel the warmth of her aura, that by our laws and our bond, you are now my consort, my king. Elias blinked. Wait, what? Her eyes glimmered. You shared life. You shared essence. To Valari that is union deeper than flesh. It cannot be undone. The growing bond. Days turned into weeks. Elias healed quickly thanks to Valari biotechnology and something more. His strength was returning faster than it should. He could sense emotions that weren't his own. When Sarathis entered a room, he felt her presence, her heartbeat, her thoughts brushing against his mind like warm wind. He began training with Valari soldiers, learning their ways. At first, they distrusted him, a human walking among them as royal consort. But when he saved a squad from an energy surge in the throne chamber, the whispers began to shift. The humans had always been considered primitive, violent, fragile, and too emotional. Yet Elias's act had united two life forces across species. Sarathis often watched him from her balcony, the human who had given his blood to save her. She was centuries old, but something about him, the reckless courage, the raw compassion, stirred something ancient within her. One evening, as the twin moons of Vela rose, she found him standing in the garden of crystalline flowers. You miss your world, she said quietly. Sometimes, Elias admitted. But it's strange. When I'm here, I feel like part of something bigger. She looked away. You are. The bond we share, it ties more than our lives. Connects our spirits. Do you resent it? Elias smiled faintly. I don't know. Do you? Her gaze softened. At first I did. I thought it made me weak. But now. She stepped closer, her voice barely a whisper. Now I think it made me remember what strength really means. Their eyes met, human blue and alien gold, and for a heartbeat, the entire palace seemed to pulse with the rhythm of two hearts, beating as one. The throne's test. But not everyone in the Valari Empire accepted this union. The Council of Purity, ancient guardians of bloodline law, saw Elias as an infection. They summoned Sarathis to stand trial before the throne itself. Elias was forbidden to enter, but when he heard the cries echoing through the throne chamber, he ignored the guards and stormed in. The council members turned on him instantly. Abomination, one hissed. The throne rejects his kind. But Elias didn't listen. Sarathis was on her knees, the living throne's light growing unstable, threatening to consume her. Without hesitation, he stepped forward and placed his hand on the throne's core, the same artifact that had chosen him once before. Pain ripped through him. The energy seared his veins, trying to tear him apart. He saw visions, stars being born, galaxies dying, the endless chain of rulers before Sarathis. Then a voice spoke inside his mind, deep and resonant. Human, what gives you the right to claim the throne of Valar? Elias gritted his teeth. I didn't claim it. I just didn't want her to die. You gave your blood. Why? Because that's what we do, he whispered. We help, even when it hurts. The energy paused, and then, like a tidal wave of light, the throne accepted him fully. The crystalline chamber flared white, sending a shockwave that shattered the council's sigils. When the glow faded, Elias stood beside Cerithus, their hands intertwined. The throne's voice boomed. The bond is true. The human is king. The council bowed, defeated, ending the two who became one. Months later, the Valari Empire changed forever. The throne had fused two bloodlines, human and Valari, creating a new dynasty that neither side had imagined. Trade with Earth flourished. War gave way to diplomacy. Elias sat beside Cerithus on the living throne, the light of 1,000 stars dancing across their armor. He still felt like a soldier sometimes, out of place in the endless beauty of her world, but when she turned to him and smiled, he remembered that he belonged here now. "Do you ever regret saving me?" she asked softly. He chuckled. "I didn't exactly think this far ahead." She leaned closer, resting her hand on his. "If you had not, I would have died, and the universe would never have known this peace." He looked at her, the alien queen whose blood once burned like fire in his veins. "You know," he said, "on Earth there's a saying, to share blood is to share fate." Cerithus smiled. "Then our fates are bound, my king." The throne pulsed once more, sealing their bond across time and stars, the human and the alien queen, united not by conquest but by compassion. And across the galaxies, the story of the Blood King and the Valari Queen would be told for centuries. The tale of a man who gave his blood to save a life, and found a love that reshaped empires.